Okay, let me make this video. Time and date. Okay, so I wrote this a few days ago. The line is aliens can't write. Who are the aliens? The aliens might be the extraterrestrials. They could be interdimensionals, or they could be beings who are non-human but who are intelligent, who have advanced technology, who might be comparably intelligent to us, but who are not human. So the word alien encapsulates a lot of beings. So what do I mean by aliens can't write? Why did I think of that? Yep, while I was watching The Knowledge of Furrow Time, episode 8, I got an insight. Something just occurred to me. It's like, huh. It's that aliens cannot write or draw. Or more specifically, write. What I mean is they are not very creative in symbolic representation. Or what I mean is, let me put it that. This is my edit. What I mean is aliens are not good with language, with symbolic representation as a mode of communication. Why? Why are they not good with language or symbols? Even drawings, by implication, is a form of symbolic representation. It's because of telepathy. That's right, telepathy. Aliens communicate using telepathy. From what I can tell, like, even humans can do it, but aliens communicate using telepathy. Telepathy. Maybe I'll write aliens communicate primarily. Maybe that's more better. Using telepathy. Yeah. Direct thought-to-thought communication. So the aliens communicate primarily using telepathy, right? So if you are used to communicating using telepathy, if you're used to communicating mind to mind, there is no need to use symbols to communicate information. Symbols as a mode of communication. So what happens? Hence, they are not good at writing. That is, at language, symbols, at language, using symbols. Using telepathy, they can communicate a lot of information at once. This is what I hear from people who, who claim they have engaged with aliens and telepathy. Perhaps this is why the Egyptians and Mayans and other ancient cultures used hieroglyphics. It contains a lot of information, coded information, packed on top of each other in a condensed form. Perhaps hieroglyphics is the closest to telepathy that symbolic representation can get. So I'm not really sure about that. I'm not really sure. Because when I just looked at Egyptian hieroglyphics and they seem pretty basic. But if you look at the way Damon T. Berry interprets, the way he's interpreting these, not just the hieroglyphic language, but the whole, the ancient paintings, the snake and all of that, all the sun. He's drawing out a lot of information in just those one image. So that's the way I'm sort of saying that when you communicate telepathically, you can put a lot of information in a very short, like a chunk, you know? It's sort of like if you go out of linear time, you can see the past, present, and future all at once. So let me just sort of make an analogy. Whereas if you're writing, if you're in linear time, like you can write like a 10, you can write a whole passage. And you can, it's like a picture speaks 1,000 words, something like that. The telepathy is like it's very direct and it may contain a lot of information that, you know how that video I shared about linear time? Linear time allows you to uh, decode the information. Whereas telepathy, you can get all of that information at once. Anyway, another thing, I think some of these aliens, maybe all, the reason their drawings look crude is because they're not good at doing it. Like if you're used to communicating telepathically, you're not going to be your linguistic symbolic skills may become atrophied. So if you look at a cave painting, maybe an alien did the cave painting, but because they're so bad at using their hands or writing, their paintings look very crude. But it might actually have been made by a very advanced species in every other respect, but their writing is very crude, or their drawings are so crude, like the Nazca lines. They look so crude because they're made by a species that engages in telepathy as its main mode of communication and not symbolic representation. So we may look at those Nazca lines and think these must be. Again, I'm just going off what David T. Barry gave. I am sort of reinterpreting what he's saying to say maybe he's talking about ancient humans, whereas I'm taking that idea of an advanced civilization trying to communicate to us, and I'm trying to apply it to aliens and saying because aliens use telepathy, if they try to write or draw, their writings and drawings may look crude in comparison to us, because we use primarily symbolic representation. Another thing to consider, what if these aliens are future humans who have evolved millions of years in linear time? Or another, maybe that's not really what I'm saying. What if um, let's let's just say if humans have existed on this planet for millions of years, then perhaps at some point they evolved beyond. I don't like the word evolve. I don't think I don't know if evolution, I don't think evolution exists, but they, let's just say, evolved the some people say telepathy came before symbolic representations. They evolved past the point of using symbols and as a mode of communication and started and um, began to use telepathy to communicate primarily. Perhaps at one point in the past they were good at symbolic representation, that is, using language, like we are. And as their telepathic ability developed, they ceased using symbols to communicate, and their ability to use language commensurately atrophied. The phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it, comes to mind. Conversely, the same can be said about us. It is said that we have inherent telepathic abilities, but due to genetic modification or some other artificially introduced constraint on its use, such as the matrix for the moon, maybe. Some have said we are not good at telepathy and rely mainly on language to communicate, or symbols, drawings, hieroglyphs, words. We don't use telepathy, hence we lose our telepathic abilities, even though it remains latent in all of us to varying degrees. And here's where I talk about. I want us to take a look at all these cave paintings and the Nazca lines with this insight. What if these crude drawings were made by aliens or our telepathic human ancestors from past civilizations who evolved beyond the use of language of communication? They look crude because the beings creating them are not good at language, that is symbolic representation. They they can have spaceships and travel the stars, but communicate using telepathy, not symbols, not language. These crude drawings were created by advanced beings, whether human or non human or alien. This may be an example of the problems inherent in interspecies communication or intergenerational communication by different versions of humanity. Another related idea came to mind. It has to do with AI. What if our human ancestors from past civilizations on Earth started to rely on AI to create technology for them? Self replicating, AI driven. Oh, jeez. Well, okay, what if they created AI and then the AI machines started self-replicating AI-driven spaceships and other tools, and over time forgot the foundational knowledge needed to create the AI. Maybe Earth in its present form is some sort of living library. I sort of talked about it in my previous video. Yeah. They come to Earth, like how they come to Earth to learn the basics of science and technology because in their world, everything is managed by AI, a sentient, conscious AI. It's like asking an average person to make an iPhone. Does the average person who uses an iPhone know how it works or how to create one? No. Similarly, it could be said that in their world, these aliens or humans from past civilizations don't know how their AI spaceships and other advanced tools work because they are work. The spaceships and other advanced tools may be conscious self-replicating technology that does not need any human or non-human to create and maintain. The technology self-replicates and maintains itself. Oh, the humans and aliens simply use the technology. They are like the average person who uses an iPhone without needing to know how it works or how it is created. Maybe this was what's going on here. So this is an idea I sort of talked about. I don't know if this should be in this video. Maybe it should be I was thinking of being in another video about this, how Earth is a living library. Maybe this one belongs in that. Maybe I shouldn't have put this in this video. Anyway, so that's maybe I'll put it in. Maybe I'll put it in this video. Okay, I'll put it in that video. As is a living. I was going to make a video about. So anyway, this idea of yeah, if you're used to communicating using telepathy, maybe you're not good with writing. Maybe they don't have books because all of their information is stored in a consciousness field, the Akashic records. Maybe it's stored on maybe all the information the aliens or advanced humans or advanced humans from past civilizations rely on information stored in their sentient conscious spaceships or computers. You know, maybe they just use their mind to machine interface to access this information without having to learn it. Learn it. Like we humans, if you want to learn science, you have to go to school or you have to read a book. You have to learn. You have to learn it. You have to learn to read. You have to learn to do math. You have to learn to. We have to learn these things. We have to go through the steps of learning them. But for them, all of that information is stored on a computer or on these spaceships, and all they do is this use their mind to connect to the computer or the spaceship, and they download it. They obtain the information. And you see all these people who are like geniuses, like Tesla, and these people, they just get these insights. What if they're just more? What if genius is just a capacity or an ability to telepathically download information from the consciousness field? What if that's what genius is? Genius isn't like something that's in the brain. It's just that you're more telepathic. The information is already out there and you're just grabbing the information. I feel like this is what a genius is. A genius is simply someone who is more telepathic than the average person, and they're grabbing information from the ether, the consciousness field, from some kind of a computer. And I think advanced societies are like this. They don't send their children to go to school to relearn the same thing. Like for us, we have to go. Every child has to go to the school, go to the whatever, and do all the same thing over and over and over again. What if you're an advanced civilization, you just store all the information in some kind of a quantum computer, quote, and then because your brains are genetically in a more telepathic, you just access the information. You just telepathically obtain the information. So you could be like a child who's 6 years old and you know the most advanced math because you're telepathic. You can just get that information. I think that is much more efficient, and I think that's how advanced societies and these aliens, they work. They don't relearn the same stuff over and over and over again. They just all of the information, knowledge obtained by the civilization is stored in some kind of a library, and people just access it. Like the whole community of that civilization has access to this shared knowledge that can be directly obtained through telepathic communication download. And humans have this ability. Some of us have it more than others. I think it's suppressed. Maybe it's consciously suppressed either by the cabal, the elites, or by these aliens who want to keep us all down and trapped in this matrix. Because they know, and I'm gonna talk about this human potential. They know we have this ability, and they want to keep us suppressed. I think this is how advanced civilizations work. They don't go to school. They just download the information because it's a shared knowledge stored in some kind of a computer type thing, quantum telepathic computer, whatever. And that's how they fly there. That's not the spelling of genius. Geni. Genius. Yeah. I think this is what's going on. If you're an advanced civilization, you're not going to send your children to go to school and learn the same thing. You're just going to store the information in a cloud, a consciousness cloud, and just download the information directly. Um, yeah, this is why aliens can't write. They don't write. They just download the information from the consciousness field. Aliens don't write or learn anything. If they're gonna do research, their research might be at the cutting edge of what they're not gonna. Whatever research they're doing is like stuff they don't know. They just download the information telepathically from the consciousness field cloud. And I think the afterlife, there might be something to do with the afterlife. I think yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Yeah.